Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Simsport Racing International, where I am happy to bring you another season of the GT3 League here at Paul Ricard. I am Patrick, and I am happy to be joined by Daniel and Oliver here for tonight's commentary.
Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to seeing some real racing at Paul Ricard today. No better way to spend my evening.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Real virtual racing for the first time of the season. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, we hopefully will be able to see some of that and everything else in between here for the next hour and 20 minutes of this evening's GT3 race. Fingers crossed, it's a good one. It's always nice to see a fresh new season, everyone in new cars trying out something different, so fingers crossed it's got that little bit special, just, a little bit of shine.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see we have a massive variety of cars this season as well have signed up. I think almost every manufacturer has been represented, maybe bar the Jaguar, but we tend to pretend that doesn't exist in ACC when we can help it.
Or the writer.
Well, the write-off, of course, but Paul Ricard, we'll see what it's kind to and what it's not for the first race of the season. Obviously, there's lots of stuff going on at Paul Ricard. We get to commentate some lovely drag races as we're just watching some people warm up the tyres down the Mistral Straight, but also a variety of corners. So it should be really interesting to see who comes out on top in the first race and where people are finding the strong points in their new rides.
Yeah, and as we all know, with a track like Paul Ricard, it's very different in between sectors. Sector 1 and 3 loves the tight, twisty cars, such as the Porsche now on screen in Filippi here. But then that Sector 2 is all about the straight line speed. Can you put your foot down and just go that little bit quicker than everyone else? So we're going to see, with that big difference of cars, a lot of different lines being taken, a lot of different speeds, so there will hopefully be a lot of battles on track throughout the night.
Yeah, and fingers crossed with the different classes of drivers as well, we're going to see a massive variety of speeds, and with such a long race, maybe we see some traffic come into play towards the end of the race. I'm sure there'll be plenty of excitement all over the place.
So Oliver, would you like to take us for a lap around Paul Ricard? We've just started here with Nurburgring.
Yeah, we just missed the first corner coming in here to a hard braking zone. Definitely a place where you will have to concentrate, focusing on the inside curb, taking the inside curb, coming up, braking kind of early, hitting the apex as soon as you can. Coming down here, this is an important corner. You have to let off the front a little bit in most cars and then hard on the front as early as you dare, trying to smoothen out this corner in particular, because now we're going down the Mistral Straight. A long straight. It will make the runway in the Fast and the Furious seem short in comparison, but you're...
Whoa, bit of an incident. I think they're both trying to warm up the tyres there.
When you're sitting in the car, you're only focusing on one thing only, hitting those revs, changing the gears at the right time, and getting the braking point right for the next corner. Not all cars need to brake here. Some cars will just lift off, some cars will be full throttle through, but steering into this corner is so important. You want to hit the curb and go as wide as you can. You can see the marker boards on the outside that marks the track. You're still full throttle trail braking into this corner. Some people go wide, some people obviously drift, of course, through the corner, but it's coming into the apex early on the throttle again. It's easy, half a second if you can get it right. Coming into another tricky corner, you can't really see the apex, but you got to brake late, turn in at a very sharp angle to get the speed out of the corner. And now we went off of the car, but then we'll come down this short right kinking straight, where you'll definitely need to be as close to the curbs as possible. Not all cars want to drive on the curbs, but again, tricky into the next corner. Again, the corner where you can't see the apex, you're braking in, trying to get on the throttle, and then braking hard again. First gear corner, as close to the curve as you dare. You do not want to take the inside curb, since it will throw the car out of balance, and then down towards turn 1 again.
Unfortunately, I think Sam...
I think they're gonna slipstream each other. Teammates will do that on this track. You'll gain a lot of speed down the back straight.
Yeah, it does look like there's a bit of that Formula 1 style tactics of dragging each other down the straight line. I wonder if they'll alternate laps. They've got plenty of time in qualifying to do so if they choose to.
Obviously, they will. If I was racing this race with a teammate, I would have asked him the same before the race. Could we maybe do alternate laps down and slipstream each other down the straight? Of course you want to do that. It's all about finding that one extra tenth of a second to ensure you that one spot on the grid.
Yeah, and there is literally not much in these couple. There's half a second in the top 5 alone, and that's the difference in a 53 and a 54 round here. We're starting to see those 53s come out from Felipe and Cox, Mitchell, Spenkelink, and interesting to see those BMWs up there. I was expecting the Hondas to be particularly quick around here. Maybe the drags is what's going to give the BMWs enough grunt on the straights to make it up in Sector 1 and 3.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
Just a good evening to everyone in chat as well. We're not forgetting about you. You can see a few names. Wiseboy, Adam, Lulu. Good evening all. We actually currently, I believe, have 48 cars in the lobby tonight. So it's going to be a very busy race indeed.
Makes it even more important to be just a little bit cautious through turn 1, turn 2. First race of the season, lots of cars on track, lots of different speeds. It's going to be certainly a spicy one. Obviously, it's very easy to lose the race in turn 1. It's pretty hard to win it. So we'll be interested to see how many risks people are willing to take in the first lap.
Thankfully, with a track like Paul Ricard, we have a lot of runoff to deal with. So, as long as people don't try too hard to keep themselves within those track limits, I think we should be all right.
Absolutely. We're not worrying about a turn 1 on the first race of the season at, say, Spa or Nurbs, where we could have had a bit of a bowling alley. As you say, there's plenty of room to run out wide and try and get out of the way if there's an incident, but we'll see. I imagine there'll be a little bit of squeezing from the front runners because they are moving quick enough in quali to definitely be taking this very seriously. I think the current lap record around here is a 153.5, which is absolutely ridiculous.
That's just what Nardcox has hit as well at the top of the timesheets.
Oh, I apologize when I said lap record. I meant what Cox was doing currently. I have no idea what the actual lap record is around here. I'm sure it's ridiculously quick. I would not be shocked if it was in the high 52s, although I doubt we'll see that. Maybe Cox wishes to prove me wrong, in which case good luck to you. We've just seen an improvement from the Porsche Felipe to get within just over a 10th, which is very impressive.
Yeah, the Porsche being very strong, as I've mentioned earlier, in sectors 1 and 3. I reckon the BMW is, but for different reasons. I think the BMW's better. Well, it'll be better in sectors 1 and 3 because it can just run the curves and doesn't care about them. The Porsche is just more nimble. But I don't think any of these are really the strongest cars in terms of straight line speed.
No, I'm fully
At least
expecting...
not what I can remember.
I'm fully expecting that Honda to have the advantage in the straight line speed and maybe the quickest sector 2, but it depends. The exit of Lecole, as Oliver mentioned earlier, is extremely important. You need to be getting absolutely flat out through Saint Bernie and Lecole to be getting as much speed onto the straight as possible. Doesn't matter if you've got a lot of straight line speed if you're having to lift for those corners.
For anyone wondering, I believe the official name is San Bernal, but we're just calling it St. Bernie. Yeah, it's easier. Sorry for cutting you off there, Oliver.
No, I was just about to say it's not just about the cars itself on this track. There probably will be people on the different setups here. Some will go for downforce, some will not go for downforce, which we can maybe tell during the race and see which cars will be faster than other equal cars.
Yeah, how much wing you apply here is definitely going to be a big difference, because more wing, those technical sections will be a lot easier for you. I imagine the fast right-hander at the end of the straight as well is going to be significantly easier, but as you say, especially when the drag comes in and you can draft somebody down that straight, it's going to be pretty hard to hold people off if they can stay within range through those technical sectors and they have a little bit less wing than you.
It's sure.
Here's a track that I believe favours overtaking too, as it's quite a wide track for most of it. The only really tough points, I think, realistically, are in Sector 1, because even Sector 3, even though it's quite twisty and complex, because it's so wide, you can take different... all the cars probably have their own unique lines, which, if you try and take advantage of where you can position your car in relation to someone else, you'd probably see a few cars sneaking around the outside in certain spots that, on paper, might look unlikely, but thinking about it, probably a lot more capable than others.
In Sector 1 you will also have good chances both into the first corner, and if you can force another car to defend, and then they will miss the apex of the first corner. Then on the short straight coming onto the braking zone that will end the first sector, you will also have a very good chance of overtaking if you can just get your front wheels up on the side of your opponent's car.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, the big advantage to this track is not just that it's wide, but also that there's no gravel or grass to worry about, really. So if there is a bit of squeezing going on, you've always got a chance to try and hold it round the outside as best you can. Try not to sleeve over those white lines too much, but I'm sure you can try and hang around if you'd like.
Yeah, you can try, but watch out for track limits in this track. They can sneak in on you, and they will cause drive-through penalties in this race.
Absolutely, and I think some of the track limits around here are quite interesting as we're looking at this Mercedes come through. The right-hander of signs at the top. The track limits, I believe, is actually where the markers are on the outside. It's over the white line.
Yes. Yeah, you just got to get your car tucked in before those markers pop up, and then you are fine on track limits. You can use as much of the runoff as possible, as long as you get yourself pulled back in before those markers.
It's certainly a very varied track, and I imagine that the curves here are quite flat, so as we were saying before, while the BMW will have an advantage on the curves, especially through Sector 1, I think some of those curves are great for locking the car in and pulling it around. The Porsche isn't going to have too much trouble with bouncing off them as it may at other tracks where it's going to avoid those curves like their death. There, we're just looking at those markers that we just talked about on the outside of that right-hander, and it's a fantastic view of the cars coming through as well. Look at that.
Top speed here is great. No one quite taking full advantage of that runoff on the outside. Everyone just about keeping it on the curb as we speak. Clearly, that is the best line. Here we go. Here's one of them really pushing it going out wide.
Really cast that one, and the BMW came screaming through.
I needed a good example, and that was exactly what we were after. So, there we go.
Ask and ye shall provide. That's a beautiful line. Really just trimmed it.
It looked like he cut the board.
BMW's really getting out there.
As soon as we talked about this, people are coming straight off the track and straight down those lines. It's listening to us on the broadcast.
If you've just looked at the time, qualifying is now done. So this is the last chance of everyone improving. So far, top 3 all in the pits. So Mitchell here is the only one currently out of those top 7 that could be improving. Now the question is he improving? Where are we, Mitchell Regan? I can't tell.
It's difficult to tell. The line looks clean now.
I thought Pitt will give me this information, but maybe not.
We'll find out as he comes over the line. It looks like a clean lap. He's definitely pushing those track limits.
In the meantime, it looks like Morgan's got himself on the pole in inverted commas for his silver class. He is only going to be 1 position ahead of Medema in second as the top 3, but Mitchell going across the line now. Has he improved? Yes, he jumped into third, only 0.17 of a second behind the pole sitter Nard Cox, and there you are. That is the end of qualifying. Bar, I think, still a few more people just squeezing through.
Yeah, there is less than 0.3 between the top 4 drivers here, and it's not much slower on the way back either. It's definitely going to be some variety of pace through here, and we'll see, as we said before, in the race setups, how they changed. Maybe people are gaining more time in Sector 2, Sector 1, Sector 3. Where are the strong points for these cars? Because while the pace might look pretty equal, where that is distributed is going to be really different and hopefully really exciting.
It sure will. We'll also have a good look out for a strategy in this race. With an 80-minute race, not all cars can run engine map 1 all the way through. Some cars will have to go into engine map 2, and some people will even might choose to go for a new set of tires if they pit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as we may not have mentioned, there is no mandatory pit stop here. So whether we'll be doing splash and dashes, tires, as you say, fuel saving, one to watch out for towards the end of the race.
Yeah, even from the beginning, we can probably see people early on. If they drive an engine map 2 from the start, then we know that they'll try the no stop. But if they drive an engine map 1 and push the car like a crazy man, then we might see a pit stop from these guys, which would be the fun strategy. Maybe not the quickest, but the fun one.
I would be very surprised if anyone has the he's able to roll their ego back enough to drive in map 2 for the first lap of the first race of the season. But respect to anybody that's brave enough to try.
That would have been my strategy for this race, racing in map 2 from lap 1 to the first second.
If you can find someone who you can sit behind who will give you that drag on the straight so you don't lose too much on throttle, I think it won't be too bad, to be honest, driving through in map 2. It never really cost, well, at least if in my experience, the Lamborghini in map 2 doesn't really give you too much less in terms of out and out power. It might be just a couple tenths at the top end, depending on how you lap. Obviously, it can be situational. But if you get sat in the draft to someone going along that straight and you just lift off the throttle a little, you can save so much more fuel than pushing through on your own. So I think if people are aiming to try and go without a pit stop, they're going to have to try and work together.
Oh, absolutely. I think I wasn't at all saying that map 2 was not a viable option, and I would not be too shocked to see people go for it, but I know if it was me on that grid, first race to the first season, I'm putting it in map 1 and I'm sending it.
Oh, would you send it on this track? It's 80 minutes and it's really rough on tires, this one.
I will be interested to see how tires go, but I'm a big fan of the old racing strategy of you send it until the checkered flag hits.
Yeah, I actually think that we will see people, especially in the lower part of the grid, go in for a pit stop at the halfway point to get fuel and tires. Well, knowing how the dark Sky Racing team normally does things, they will not come in for the pit. They will try the fuel saving strategy, especially if they can get tucked in behind each other. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in this race.
The dark sky and the two BMWs first and fourth are definitely have options for strategy, potentially.
Well, strategies are save fuel and save the tires, go to the end, hope that you will gain positions and people will pit. You can go for the halfway stop in the race, take a fuel only, which will technically be like 20 seconds quicker than taking fuel and tires. But I think we'll see people on the strategy that I would have preferred in this race go into the pit halfway through, take fuel and tires, and then just send it through the race. But we do have to keep in mind that it is a long pit lane here, and people will definitely have thought about that before the race, whether or not they want to take the risk and go through the long pit. Or if they want to try and save the tires, because the tires will wear out quickly on this track.
Yeah, and just to mention with that, as I think we're just having actually a run through the grid here, so we'll hold on for a second on the pit strategies. As you can see, Nard Cox on the right, sitting in pole position. Second place next to him in the Porsche is Luca Filippi. Then third place in that Honda, we have Regan Mitchell. Fourth coming in, the teammate of our pole sitter, as just mentioned, Sem Spenkelink. And then our first Mercedes on the grid. I think we actually have the most Mercedes on this grid out of any any car manufacturer. That would be James Mead. Next up, we have Marcel Visa. Apologies if I get any of these names wrong. This is a sort of first time run through here, so... next up, Peter Veneer in P7 in the Lamborghini. Lovely to see a Lamborghini on the grid. Then Valenduke over in P8 in the Honda. And our first Ferrari in Jonas Hackler, P9. Then 10th, we even have a McLaren. So great, a load of manufacturers, as I believe we're starting the formation lap. So I could keep going, but as you can see, all the cars are running around past me now. The bit I was quite interesting that we forgot to look at for qualifying is the AM class, because we have 3 classes running in this race tonight. I don't believe we looked to see where who managed to take pole for that class, so I'm not sure if we can get that information up or whether it will just appear on race start. But we will let you know as soon as we find out.
Well, there you go.
There it is. We have Böckland, I believe, Peter Böckland that is, in one of the few Audis represented here tonight. I don't believe there are many at all. You can also see actually Van der Linden further down, but I believe Böckland is also the highest placing Audi on this grid. So great to see even more, manufacturers and different cars. And is that a pint or a glass of... Is it a glass of beer on the side? It looks like a wine glass, but it looks like a beer.
I think it's a trophy on that side.
If it's a trophy, he's off to a great start.
If it's a trophy, you can tell I'm a Brit.
If it's a trophy, he's off to a great start putting on the pole of AM class, but that Lexus is not far behind at all, so it's going to be interesting off the start. The front of AM class might be as exciting as the Pro.
So it was a beer. The Brit was right.
Thank you for saving me. Beer brand is correct.
Beer branded Belgian flagged race cars. Love it.
Yeah, and these two teammates, first and second in the AM class, so that is a very good showing from Team DDS. And then here we have Mr. Cohen Geens. Again, apologies for any names that I may and my fellow commentators may mess up this evening. Feel free to message us if anyone is sat in here and knows correctly how you say these. Drop us a DM or say in the YouTube chat, and we will get right on that in terms of mentioning correctly.
Speaking of great liveries, I love to see the Gulf livery on any car that it's available on. The Aston's definitely one of the prettier cars to put the Gulf livery on. It definitely reminds me of the old Ford racers. It's the same kind of shape, almost, if you squint enough.
Yeah, or park the car behind a wall.
I like to use my imagination, perhaps a bit too much. But yeah,
it's great.
It's going to be
such
fun.
a large grid.
It's fantastic. It's going to take them a while to get around. That's the only problem.
Yeah, those people on pole might be waiting just a little bit longer than necessary. But what I would say actually is it's probably worse for the guys at the back, because once you start gridding up into this position, that's fine. But you go green when the leaders cross the start-finish line. So a lot of these cars are going to be going through the final corner. And are you allowed to overtake before the start-finish line? I don't believe you are. Not officially, anyway.
As soon as it's green, you're allowed to overtake.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
might see some dive bombs in the second to last corner based on how big this grid is, which will be quite impressive. You have to be very brave to go for a move off the start. It's such a tight left-hander, but maybe it happens. But we're lining up on the start-finish straight now, so we're about to go green shortly. Cars jostling for position. Maybe some of them holding the brakes, but we'll see as we go away when they're going to go. It looks like they've gone. I'm seeing some moves towards the back of the Mercedes, but it's still pretty clean at the front. Everyone seems to have got away pretty cleanly. Down the inside goes Cox. Philippa trying to hang it around the outside. It's good starts from Spetsnix too. Into the first corner. There's a bit of a nudge
going on at the back. There's a lot going on here. I think Sem's taken third at least. And here comes the mid-pack. We've got 3 wides going on through this first corner still. Ike sat on right now. Oh my god, it's so many cars. We are looking, I think, pretty good throughout. I really don't want to curse this here, but so far, all I can tell from starting is I've actually spotted a drive-through for one of the drivers, unfortunately probably out of position there, and we do have a slow runner in the 13 at the back, but the big jumper in the top 4 is Sem making up a spot right on the start.
Yeah, it looks like they're just heading onto the straight now. There was a minimal amount of death, if any, so that's always positive. Turn 1 was very clean by all the drivers involved, but we're going to see that Honda looks like it's starting to pull on that BMW quite quickly. We've got 2 wide for these Mercedes. How long's that going to last? There's even 3 wide up the straight. This is going to be an exciting first right-hander at the end of this straight.
Here we go, yeah, everyone reaches the point of top speed right at the end of the straight, so that's when it all matters. It looks like we're all getting through. We've got a big slide from the Merc, but he's caught it. And we've actually got a backwards car as well. Someone pointing the wrong way completely just before going into Busset. Not too sure what's happened there. Maybe we'll be able to get a replay, but there's a few more incidences coming on now as we reach the technical third sector. Now you've got to turn again. You need to remember what it is to turn on this after that probably 15-second long straight. I really don't know how much it is. We should probably count it at some point.
It's interesting to see Spenkelink right up the back of Philippi, who I would have thought was pretty quick through that Sector 3 in the Porsche, but the BMW seems to be hanging out on its own as well. And we're going to see probably a ring of fastest laps. No, just down to 4th as they go one by one, stealing the fastest lap off each other. But that Honda looks absolutely rapid down the straight. Can it hang on to the back of these front runners?
Well, it looks like, at least based on the track map, we've just got a long snake of cars. It doesn't look like anyone's dropped off the end too badly. So even though we did see a few cars having some moments, that beautiful slide from the Mercedes coming round Sinus as well, but everyone's still going. That's the important bit. Everyone is still going and they're still all close together.
The Mercedes might have lost a bit of time, but definitely gained some style points for catching that one. That was something to watch.
Just quickly checking chat. It looks like our teammate Alex Crawford in the Nissan has dropped way off. I did spot him somewhere up in 14th on the first lap going along the straight.
I believe that Crawford was the car we saw spun around on the inside of this corner on the first lap in the 8th change.
Oh, that was close.
Just about links it up. We might get track limits.
That could well be track limits. But now the BMW looking to try put his nose back up the inside, but he can't look at attacking too much because just right in the rear view mirrors we got James Mead on his tail. This is a great little battle for the final podium spot right now, as we just see Mitchell take the spot. Now he's getting possibly a little bit of a bump there. Ever so slight contact. This BMW very, very strong in the third sector here. Unfortunately for him, doesn't have that straight line speed, and that's what cost him this position. And if he's not careful, there's another couple cars right up behind him there.
There's definitely some optimism hanging out, maybe some hunger in the eyes of James Mead, waiting to see if there's going to be an error from either of these two drivers. We're going to see how the straight line speed works out. It's worth noting that while I do expect the Honda to be a little bit quicker in a straight line, obviously he had the draft, got the move done nice and quickly before Sainz though, which was pretty impressive, and it looks pretty strong through Sector 1, so maybe Spenkelink will have to have a look up the inside through Sector 3 as he was trying to do before. James Mead's starting to drop off a little bit from being right up the bumper of him at the start of Sector 3. Going to be interesting as we go through chicane into St. Bernard. Oh, however that is pronounced, I'm not even going to try. Into the call, back down the straight. Now, is this BMW going to get onto the back for Honda, who they both seem to have got a pretty good exit? How much curb do you dare clip? All of it, apparently, straighten it out. And here we go, the drag race. You can start counting down the seconds from 20 on the clock. Just how long is this straight? And is it enough time for Spenkelink to catch 0.3 of a second to get it side by side into this right-hander? Here we go.
You still have time to tell a joke before we reach the corner.
Oh, I just don't want to comment. I don't want to cast a curse as we go.
Too wide for the back. It looks like James Mead's actually possibly about to be overtaken by Weiser. Still side by side going through. Can he hold on? As we've got this now, Sam back on the tail of Mitchell as well. A few battles happening. We've also got two cars that look to be a little bit off the back of the pack. I think, unfortunately, Patrick Kleiner had to take a run through the pits on the previous lap, maybe just repairing a bit of damage he picked up, and the car 11 as well of Frank Hopp also caught up in an incident and dropped off the back. But even though they may be off the tail of the main body of cars right now, we still have an hour and 14 minutes to go. There is plenty of time for not them only to just catch back up, but for the rest of the grid to also, have a few more issues. When you got this many cars on a track, this grouped up together, you can expect a few incidences here or there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned before, Alex Crawford was indeed the Nissan that got turned around. He sat down in 46th place, which is quite a drop. However, he's still only 30 seconds off the leader, which is early in the race. It's a long way, but it's not uncatchable.
Unfortunately for him, he's in the Nissan, so it does sort of give him an extra bit of issues to deal with. Because that car has fallen slightly out of favour, I think, in the last few years.
I don't know if the gearing is particularly favourable here. I feel like the Nissan lives and dies by whether the gearing at the particular track works or not. But it looks like James Mead is starting to fall off the leaders, but no such reprise for Mitchell at the front. And we're seeing these Hondas start to really pick up the pace down that straight.
Yeah, James Mead looks to be a sitting duck again. Yeah, 78's gone for a spin, I think, down the bottom there. that'll be Sam Pearce, unfortunately for her. She is our GT4 commentator, so you'll be able to hear her in the booth next week on Tuesday when that is brought to you guys live. But for now, she's enjoying, or maybe not so much right this moment after that incident, but she's having her fun out on track, and hopefully better times to come for her.
All we can say is fingers crossed. I did count this straight earlier.
That's damaged.
That
That does not look like a pretty BMW.
That is a slightly broken BMW. But that might be one of them where you consider taking tyres and maybe a little bit of damage repair, because I don't think I'd want to drive that round a track for 80 minutes with that kind of damage. But I did count this straight before. It's 25 seconds down the straight for the leaders. Maybe a bit longer for the AM classes and the slower cars, but 25 seconds straight to make your move. And listen to that hood rattle away, I guess. Was that a move by Lenson there on Pope?
I believe it was. No, that was on Van der Linden there, as he's just got past the Audi. Looking like he may be a little out of position here, the pro driver. Possibly caught up in one of the early incidences this race. And now having to work his way back up through the field. Just got ahead of the leading AM driver, who has a little bit of traffic sat right behind him. There's a big battle in the silver class going on between Denise Parker and Muris. You can see them all there, just looming large in the mirrors. Pope looking for a possible move up the front, just up the inside of Van der Linden, but can't quite make things stick yet. In the lovely Wild Things Racing, coming back for yet another season. I know she's big around here and loves getting involved and getting her team involved. And I think we just saw a little bit of side-by-side bumping between Muris and Parker, and what a run here from the Honda surely gets him down by the end of the straight.
Full 20 seconds to just breeze by the Mercedes. Looks like he got a bit of a better exit as well, so it's not going to be that close. But you can see Pope pulling out past that Audi. She make the move stick before the corner? Not sure, but it definitely looked like they were being held up a touch by that Audi through Sector 1, as you might expect from the class differential. But the Audi putting on a brave fight there to hold it out as long as he can. Gone very wide though, a big slide out the back as well. Was that Parker?
Jesus. I think someone almost... Yeah, there's a Lexus flying out. He almost ended up going right into the back of the 44. We do not know if that was assisted or not, but that's the second Mercedes now we've seen going up for a big slide.
I think it might be the same Mercedes. It definitely looks like the same livery from before, so Parker might have been unlucky twice at that corner already, just within the first 10 minutes of this race.
And unfortunately for him now, he's got a fellow sister Mercedes of Rainal right on his tail, so you can't get a moment's peace right now in this mid-pack.
And even with his sister team, just the sister Mercedes just behind, doesn't look like there's any pressure relief, because there's another car joining the fight as well. It just doesn't let up. This many cars on the field, there's going to be a battle somewhere, and it looks like it's right here into turn 1. Is that Aston going to get onto the back or not? Definitely looking for it into turn 1. Oh, it looks like there's been an incident.
Yeah.
That is Vervat, who is sideways.
Vervat getting out the way. I think doing the right thing there, just reversing out of the direct line of sight. And we've also got a yellow flag further down, the number 10. I think the 10 was running quite high up.
That is a Lambo. It's unfortunate to see.
Oh, he's dropping way down. He's in a horrible position.
That is not an easy place to rejoin.
No, he might have chosen the wrong decision to turn back onto track. If he'd gone wide and round, he might have had a better chance rejoining. Unfortunately for him now, Dave Jr., I believe that is, dropping all the way down to the back of the pack to 46th.
Does look like he hasn't got too much damage though, so it's still recoverable to an extent. A pro driver should be able to get through fairly quickly. He's going to keep Crawford company at least.
He was running in P11 prior to that incident, so that is quite the fall from grace.
Yeah, it only takes one. Looks like we're going to get a replay as well.
So this is the first lap with Crawford, yeah. So, he gets boxed in a little, has to jump on the brakes. And then a bit of bonking ahead. So far, so good. But, it's out of nowhere. Just slams him into the wall. That can't be good for the car.
That looked like it hurt. I would have taken my hands firmly off a direct drive wheel if that was in front of me as I saw myself careening towards the wall. Looks like the Porsche just got a snap of oversteer coming on the curb, but a nice safe rejoin from Crawford, so that's worthy of note at least.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage he's going to be carrying. Can we see if he's currently actually still driving around with the damages?
I don't think you've been into the pits. I've been looking a bit on people entering the pit lane, and I haven't seen the number 8 car.
Oh, so he's currently just trying to... Speaking of, here he is coming into the pits at this moment. Clearly tried to push it out as much as possible. Probably just enough so that he could get a full pit stop to repair it, remove the damage, fill up the car to the max, and now I expect we'll just be driving on to the end of the race.
Yeah, he's
not the way you want this to start.
1 hour 7 on a tank of fuel, so he should be good for the end at least. You know, Crawford will go now till the end.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Maybe he'll pick up a couple of places other people pit. Depends what his pace is like around here. We did mention that the Nissan's not the strongest car. I was going to say at Paul Ricard, but I just think in general, potentially.
He's also going to come out in traffic. And remember, it's a dangerous pit exit on this track that could cause incidents.
That is a very bright Aston. I'm not so sure how I feel about it.
That Aston looks like a Hot Wheels car, and while you may not be sure how you feel about it, I love it. I would love to see that in my rearview mirrors, because I'm going to know exactly where they are at all times.
It reminds me of something out of Monsters, Inc.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Bit of a Mike Wazowski car.
Yeah, it's a mix of Mike and Sullivan, a little bit.
Well, unfortunately for them, they have just been overtaken by Van der Linden, now dropping down to 27th. Still a respectable showing, probably sat somewhere in the middle of the silver class. Silver class actually quite a big class. I believe we've got about 20 cars in there. If you give me a second, we'll just go through and count them all.
It is also quite a competitive class. I mean, we're seeing a couple of the pros have dropped down there. I wonder if that's through pace or through incidents. We're seeing a couple of them spin out, as I've mentioned before. Van der Linden holding his own. He's managed to get a couple of AMs on the back of him now, but there's still a couple of silvers back there fighting for positions. Seeing Muris in the Honda holding up what looks like Vilcek in the Mercedes through sector 1. I was going to say 3, but that would have been incorrect. The downside of not having any significant markers on the side of the track and just these blue lines is sometimes it can be a bit difficult to tell where you are from the skybox. But yeah, it looks like there's some pros hanging out with silvers, putting in comparable pace times, and even at the top we've got a silver in the top 10 of Morgan's Aston, who's absolutely flying around the track. Just waiting to hear how many silvers we have. Princey's counting up speed.
Thank you. Well, I was counting the initial spreadsheet, but I believe that wasn't quite correct because Nikolai Schroeder, who was put down initially as a silver driver, is actually driving in the pro class. Yes, he is. There he is in 15th. So he's actually had a bump up. So we have, somehow I was bang on. We have 20 silver drivers, 20 pro, and 10 AM. I don't believe we quite have everyone showing up. We did have a few dropouts this morning, but because we've got a reserve list right now, we have had a few guys jump in to replace, which is always good. They get a bit of track time. Just as we sit on possibly a little bit of a cork in the bottle here in Morgan, your current silver leader. If you have a look at the track map, as soon as we get round St. Bernie here, you can see that there is quite the divide between the top 9 cars and then the rest of the field.
You say the top 9 cars, but I think it's between P2 and P9 because Cox has sort of ran away a bit. He's got 3.4 seconds. The gap between Hackler and Morgan is 6. So as you say, there's a cork in the bottle there, but it looks like there's a couple of gaggles forming between maybe 2nd, 3rd and 4th there. 4 seconds back to James Mead, and then he's got a gaggle of cars behind him.
Second. These three very close together. Visa is a lot as well. Is that Visa? No, sorry, Mitchell, who currently is...
big slide.
Slap. three different classes of cars, or three different car manufacturers, apologies. So three different cars that have different strengths in different aspects of the track. So it's quite an interesting battle how no positions have yet been changed in this fight.
I think Spenkelink did gain a position at the start of the race. We did see Mitchell go past him on the straights. Maybe that Porsche is just giving him enough of a toe to hold Mitchell off down those straights. I'm sure we'll find out soon, but I wonder how much of this battling is why Cox is able to run away as efficiently as is. I imagine that Philippi is having to do a little bit of defending from Cox's teammate behind, and Mitchell putting some pressure on themselves.
The 91 cars off at the final corner.
Yeah, a bit of an incident there going into Virage du Pont. I actually love that name for a corner.
Beautifully pronounced. That's the best French pronunciation we're going to hear all night.
Probably the only one they'll get correct as well.
As if you've got it correct, which we don't know for sure. But let's see down this
sounds correct.
Who is pulling away from who? Traditionally, the Porsche would be the slowest of the three cars comfortably. The Honda the fastest. It does look like the Honda's got a bit of a pull on that Beamer. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough, but I've been proven wrong before. He's getting awfully close to the back of that BMW. Nose out, having a look, reminding him that he's there. But the Porsche running away fairly cleanly to say that it's a Porsche. I think some of this may be the bop at this track, but maybe there's not a lot of wing on that Porsche because the Beamer looks like it has better grip through Sector 3.
I think more than anything, the Porsche looks to be strongest in Sector 1, and that's where it's bridging its gap. Unfortunately for the BMW, it's strongest here in Sector 3, which is where it gets very, very close to the rear of that Porsche. But Sector 3 probably is one of the toughest sectors to track. Oh no, is that Alex Crawford again?
It looked like the Nissan.
It looks like the Nissan, and I think he has indeed. It is the Nissan. He's just teleported to the pits. That might unfortunately signal the end of our lone Nissan driver in this race. But enough of that, as we're looking at a Bentley, which we haven't seen too many of now. Side by side, it has a little bit of a slide. Oh, and we've got a possibly. Wait, what's going on with the Honda behind? Did anyone else catch that? It looked like it was transparent. I could see the stripes through the car.
It did look transparent. He sort of seemed to have lost a place to this BMW coming through. But fantastic evasive action, it's worth knowing. The reactions on that Honda were absolutely perfect to stay out of that incident when that Bentley got booped a little bit around that corner. Maybe a little bit hard racing.
I don't believe there was contact. I think it just slipped a bit on throttle, which the Bentley does have a very high power input on throttle, so you got to be very, very clean with it. As we've got it was Shelikins with the either the transparent livery, which I'm not quite sure that's correct, but I've got to say I love that BMW in front of him of Planas, the Tic Tac BMW is unfortunately for Shelikins. We've caught a horrible for him. We might just want to keep moving and leave him to it because he's not had a good time there.
That was a little bit of a cast a curse there.
Yeah. Oh, what?
We'll move on to the column. Spalinkolink made it work. I was just about to comment on these. That, to my surprise at least, the BMW is actually the fastest car through Sector 1 of the three of them, and has traditionally, at least on the fastest lap of the race so far, also been the fastest car through Sector 3. Out of the three of them, you'll be very unsurprised to hear that the Honda was the fastest through Sector 2. Maybe we'll see the Honda start to eat up that Porsche. Philippi losing those places might be a bit unfortunate. This BMW might just be able to run away, already pulling a bit of a gap. Well, here we go.
Depends on the... Well, I'd say a lot of it depends on how much fuel they've decided to take, if they're going for the full stretch. But yeah, it does look like that BMW has finally broken away, and just like champagne popping out of a fresh bottle of freshly shaken goods, it's off. It's flying away, and now it's the turn of Regan Mitchell, I'd say, and this one probably will be dispatched in much quicker fashion. I expect as soon as we get on to the Mistral Straight that Honda will say farewell and be on its way back up to the tail of the BMW of Sam Spankelink.
This is, of course, One of the main problems if you drive a Porsche is you may be very, very quick on the hot lap, but we'll see how quick you are in an actual race situation. It's very difficult to fight with the cars, especially when there's a straight as long as this one. I just want to see the overspeed from this Honda fly by. It's already starting to catch. We're not even halfway down the straight. As we go under the bridge, we're going to be side by side, surely. Not far off. Here we go, there we go, side by side. Actually catching the BMW as well, I think. The Porsche holding up admirably, as I may have mentioned before. I don't know if it's the bot or the wing, but that was a lot closer than I would have thought. There's a big wiggle from the Honda, but manages to hold it on line. Porsche coming back with superior exit speed. Maybe looks down the inside of Brissett. No, not quite able to make it stick. Is that Honda going to be able to get any distance from the Porsche, though? And maybe that Porsche's struggling with tyres, fuel. It's very hard to say.
I think it might just be doing a bit of fuel management. Didn't put up much of a fight, to be honest. Quickly moved over to the left-hand side of the track. Didn't even try and stay in the toe of the BMW ahead. So I get the feeling, thinking more in the long run of the race, is Philippi just letting the Honda go, not trying to fight too much, just going to try and do his best to sit in that toe and stay there, to maybe have a chance to pounce later on in the race, as we still have plenty of time left. We've just bumped under the hour mark, 57 minutes to go, as we now have a look at that overtake of Sems Spenkeling into P2. Carbon copy, essentially, but had to do it on the turn. Great respect shown by all drivers, and a lovely move from the 74 car there. And now, unfortunately for everyone else, it is a 1-2 for the team BMW.
I think we were mentioning a cork in the bottle before. Just earlier we saw Morgan holding up Van der Kran a little bit. Van der Kran really pushing at him through that Sector 3. Fantastic battle. Oh, yeah, Regan went past Philippi earlier, and it looks like they're going to try and run away. There's still 4 seconds to Cox, though, between those two teammates. So there's a long run now. 4 seconds back to James Mead again. The gap to Morgan, 9 seconds between Hackler and Morgan. So any pro drivers are going to have to go through the cork in the bottle. It is our silver leader at the moment. A big slide on the outside.
Cut in sharply there to avoid any possible track limits going through Cygnus. He went slightly wide. Maybe is the feature of the BMW around here, as we just have a little bit of a look to see how Nard Cox is getting on. Is he still ahead of everyone else? Tick. Is he still driving perfectly smooth? Tick. Just making sure I haven't cast a Kirsten there, so I was going to wait on that one for a second. Yeah, he is so far driving the perfect race. Started on pole, and I don't believe he has been behind. Maybe slightly on the race start. I think the Porsche edged his nose ahead, but because he was on the outside, he never really had the opportunity to make a valid move for the lead. And yeah, now 4 and a bit seconds away ahead is we've got a Mercedes coming out the pits. Fairly early stop there. Might have been one that was forced through a bit of damage. I think that might be the number 6. Not too sure who that might be. Maybe Vilcek, yeah, of DXDT Racing. So getting an early pit stop out the way for the AM class now. Oh, sorry, for the Pro class. A little bit to do to catch up to the next guys ahead, but surely after that, bar any possible bad happenings. Speaking of bad happenings, we have the.
Again.
It is our slidey Mercedes. Looks to have bit maybe a little more than he could chew of the Cygnus turn there, and now are going to probably have to dive to the pits, as we got a little bit of side-by-side action going through the final corner. Suki Vervat looks to have made a move on Haig, and I believe he has. Yep, and that's a step up to 39th, as we've got a battle here, second and third going at it. Mitchell and Spenkeling side by side into the final corner. A lot of hip and shoulder. Not quite the final corner, sorry. They were just going through Bendor, now into Village, onto Tor. Still side by side. These guys really, really close, not giving each other an inch of space. And all the while, I think Philippi's just watching like, yes, I'm liking the look of this. Now gets a run out, actually, on the back as Benkeling got the better exit. Now, I think it looks like Mitchell goes from second all the way back down to fourth. He must have had second for a little bit, but here the Honda now comes back at the end of this straight. And I believe we might just be right back to how things were before this lap started. Yes, back to the status quo.
There was definitely a thought there from Philippi about going for that. You can see both Philippi and Mitchell jabbing on and off the brakes into that turn one, seeing if either of them would back off or give each other room. And it doesn't look like it. Definitely kept the inside line nice and tidy, but back onto the straight again we go. It looks like a bit of a slide from Spenkeling. Has that compromised his exit at all through here? Is that going to make a difference? Is the Honda's raw pace going to make a difference? We're about to find out as another 20 seconds down the Mistral straight ensues, and here we go, all the way down the straight. All of the overspeed, nice and close. The Porsche falling off a bit, but you can definitely see the Honda trying to catch. Goes to the inside early, takes that line side by side. Is he going to get the move done before the corner? No, looks like it. And that's as clean as it's going to come, but we do know the BMW is absolutely rapid through Sector 3. Can he come back here? Not just yet. Taking a bit of a wider line, cutting to the inside. Can't quite make it stick. Looks like he just understeered on the curb. But of course, there's more opportunities to come yet. You look to the inside, just going to hang back. Wait a second, but you can see the difference in apex speed between these two cars. It's absolutely ridiculous as we go through Zone 3. Bit of a wiggle from Philippi and the Porsche behind, looking a little bit scary, keeping the hammer in though. Gotta respect that. And it looks like the Honda's managed to hold off the Beamer at least through Sector 3. Don't want to cast a curse into the last corner. No, all nice and tidy. So how long can Mitchell hold that place? That is the question. But respect to Philippi managing to hang on to the back of this quite admirably. A couple of wiggles there, but not giving an inch. And it looks like the leader's about to start catching some traffic. So we're going to see that 6-second gap start to come down potentially.
Yeah, this battle for the other podium spots has really helped Nardcox extend that lead up top. And we might finally see a little bit of just chasing and balance. It depends what the aim is really for Sem. If he thinks if he wants to win this himself over his teammate, or if he wants to just keep battling to give his teammate more of that gap. It all depends on how he wants to play this race. I mean, for most people, I think you want to win the race. You want to. That's the aim. That's the aim of sim racing, isn't it? It's the aim of racing anything. You want to win. You want to be the best. So I think realistically for him right now, and for Philippi and everyone else, they want to stop these battles. They want to just find the formation that works best for those three and the positions, and then just try and work their way back up to Nardcox, because they've given him so much time to just pull away. And that battle at the start of the last lap was definitely beneficial to him, no one else. But it was great viewing for us, I've got to say. That was really good respect shown from all three drivers.
Oh, a bit of a dink. Looks like the cameras cursed those two to come together on the apex. I don't think that move was on. It was just a bit of a squeeze on the apex. It looks like Van der Linden just getting a little bit greedy into the apex. But it was worth a look. It's always worth trying to stick your nose, but maybe a bit less. And that's an RTG, unfortunately. I wonder if he got damaged from that.
The car it didn't look overly damaged, as you know what I was saying about them wanting to maybe just continue. We've got traffic in front of these three, and the BMW is back on the tail of Mitchell. I'm having a little bit of a look into turn one. How will this BMW fare? Well, how will these guys fare with the boat ahead of them? Not well, it looks like. This is actually helping Philippi in third. Is he going to go for a move here into the chicane? No, backs out of it. Oh my god, they get so close together there. A little bit deep from Sem. Thought maybe he was going to run right into the back of Mitchell for a second, but checked up, and it's now actually that's helped Mitchell a lot get a little bit of a gap, and we could well see the Porsche now have a run back on the BMW going down the end of the Mistral Straight. These guys having a brilliant three-way fight.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to watch, and so much respect being shown between each other. As you say before, didn't benefit anybody but Cox, but I disagree. It absolutely benefited us here in the commentators' box because we get to watch them go side by side yet again, same corner, lap after lap, and then absolutely duke it out through Sector 3. Especially these two cars are absolutely rapid through there. Not giving an inch. Oh, that is very wide by Philippi, though. That is definitely a track limits warning. Does give the place back. But they're holding it tight around this corner. I wonder if Mitchell can run away and how quickly Mitchell can run away. He needs to break that drag, break that toe, and make sure that Spenkelink can't get back into it. Or hopefully, for him, he's hoping that Philippi gives Spenkelink a good fight and slows him down a bit. He can get after Cox.
Oh, well, a little bit of movement now here going down into the midfield pack. We've got Ike Choose, who was involved in an incident earlier on. I do remember seeing the 91 flagged up or a yellow. We've got him side by side with Muris. Are they going to keep it clean together? It looks like it. Still side by side. So close, they've touched, and it's another sliding Mercedes. That is probably going to be the picture of Paul Ricard by the end of this race. A great save. Just got a little bit too close together with these two, and you can see actually Ike is not happy. He is flashing his lights and maybe just needs to gain a little bit of composure back, running the suboptimal line over the curbs, now giving Patrick Tractor just behind him a possible chance at making a move. But yeah, a little bit too close for comfort for those two, but thankfully all of them still going in the right direction. Great catch from Ike, and it looked pretty cool on the camera. So, you got that moment, Ike, if you're watching this back.
Style points for sure, and definitely found a flash button afterwards. This looks like the Lamborghini of Junior coming up behind Geens, who's quite a way off Rintz, who's somehow taken the lead of the AM class. We did see Van der Linden there, who's fallen quite a way back now, so I wonder what happened to the AM class, but it does look like there's a good mix of drivers in that kind of 30 through 38, 39 crit. We see Choose come into the pits. Oh, I wonder if he's got damage or if he's just refueling.
I think he's gonna take tires if he comes in now, just after a spin at that magnitude.
Yeah, a slide like that definitely cooks the wheels a bit, doesn't it? And that's the last thing you want around this kind of track.
Also, the optimum time for pit stop. That pit window will open in about 2 minutes, and it will be time to come in. And if you're gonna take tires, you might want to try the undercut on the people around you and hope they'll take tires as well.
Lots of strategy at play. Will the people that don't pit for tyres be at a significant disadvantage at the end? Yes, almost certainly. Have they pulled enough of a gap for it to matter is of course the question. And we're seeing, I think, just the back of the second big gaggle. Ooh, there's a bit of contact there, a little bit of a bump draft from Hackler. We're seeing the second gaggle of the pro cars at the front. The cork in the bottle here, of course, being James Mead and his Mercedes. 7 seconds off the back of Philippi, but having a fantastic four-way fight here as well for what looks like 5th place.
Yeah, nice looking Ferrari here for Jonas Hackler, trying to get past the Honda of Jans Valenduk. Unfortunately for him, he's probably got the curse of the good but not quite great car being the Ferrari. That's what I've heard, and that's what I've been told from everyone about this car. Is it's great, but it's not, well, it's good, but it's not great. So it's got good top speed, it's got good turning, it's got, good everything, but it's just not great at anything. So it's a great all-rounder, but unfortunately when you come up against another car that is great at one of those specific things that you're not, you may just get stuck, and that's, I think, the problem that Hackler's having here. Whereas he may, the best place to overtake is definitely on the straight here, and with the toe he might still be able to do it, but the Honda is just too quick in a straight line, and unfortunately for him, he just doesn't get close enough by the end of the Mistral straight.
Meanwhile, on the picture-in-picture, Philip has gone down the inside at the end of the straight and been immediately taken back by Spenkelink on the very next corner. You were watching the picture-in-picture there. That was absolutely fantastic racing from both of them. Did not take long for either of them to come past each other. I wonder how long that fight is going to proceed for as Mitchell just starts to run away, pulling a 1.5 second gap. Now, And I've heard the same things about the Ferrari. I've heard it's good at everything. It's a bit of a jack of all trades, but it doesn't have a speciality. And I feel like that cannot be said for the Honda, which is an absolute rocket in a straight line. And of course, with such a long straight, it's going to be pretty hard to get past. So Hackle are going to be looking for that move somewhere else on the circuit, I would imagine, or maybe try and get a fantastic exit out of Le Col and make something work there. But this gaggle of cars is getting closer and closer and closer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Visa had a little bit of a mistake there, because he was a little clear of Fallon Duke and Hackle, and suddenly he seems to have dropped right back into this pack. And on the other end of it, Vernier really catching up to these guys now. The highest ranking Lamborghini here, looking quite feisty, I've got to say, and it looks very nice too, as we have one of the higher placing drivers in Leach and Schroeder. The first few cars, there's actually quite a few cars now, I think you called it correctly, Oliver, where those performing a one-stop with a tyre switch coming in now, running clearly 2 40-minute splits, trying to just maximize tyre life and fuel usage. It'd be interesting to see if some people decide to stay out the whole time and just either go for a splash and dash at the end, or just put it in a different fuel map and try and stay out, because we'll have a massive variation in speeds by the end of it in terms of lap times, which could give us hopefully a very climactic end to this race.
If someone goes for a splash and dash at the end, then it's because they've done some miscalculations. You'll lose so much time through the pit lanes there due to the very long length of the pit. So a splash and dash would not be an optimum strat on this track.
I mean, with switching the tyres, you do end up you're at least stop for 30 seconds, because that's the minimum time required. As Mitchell's come in, so he's doing the same strategy. Indeed, he's coming in just above the halfway mark.
We're seeing
and
quite a few now. He will definitely
be taking the tyre change and the fuel.
We'll see if the two BMWs in front respond to the Honda in the pits.
Yeah,
in the
of course.
next couple of laps.
We're seeing the Honda from the first initial gaggle of the pros come in, but we've also seen James Mead pit, Weiser's in the pit, Van Aer's in the pit. I think the lead of the Silvers, Morgan, has just come into the pits as well. They're like buses. You wait ages for one pit stop and then they all come at once, and it's absolutely the case. When it rains, it pours. Lots of people into the pit lanes. And we're going to see how the strategy develops. Cox doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon, but maybe we'll see him in the pits early. I'm not sure. It's got a nice gap to hold out there, 8 seconds.
If he's got this fully fueled to the end as well, and he's pulled out that much of a gap, I don't think there's much else to say, really. I think he's got this perfected, especially if he's been able to make that gap and has also been able to do a bit of fuel saving. But that's, I think, what we got to keep an eye on. So he could well be in at this point in just a few corners time, because, well, I think he's actually just coming. Yeah, so he's coming around Village now, so he's in Sector 3. We'll keep an eye on him here just to see if he does make a little bit of a dive for the pits after the final corner, because it is the ideal time, if he was to pit for this half and half strategy, to do it right now, and he goes on. So maybe he's doing like a 60-40, 70-30 kind of thing. Maybe he's fuel for the whole thing. We won't know until we near the end of the race now.
I'm just looking across the lap times, though. His best lap was a 1:54, and he's just done a 1:55.9. So either he's made a big mistake, or he's taken some time to maybe lift and coast, maybe stick it in a different engine map. I think we may be on the money. He may be fully fueled and going to the end, and it's time to see if people like Mitchell, who has the fastest lap of the race at the moment, down in 13th place, can start absolutely ripping through this field on a fresh set of tyres. It looks like we've got a drive-through for Planas, who we're on board with right now, so we'll see when they decide. Do they have to take the drive-through on the lap that they get it, or are they allowed to?
Within 3 laps.
3 laps.
Within 3 laps. Is he going to take it immediately? Looks like it.
But
Looks
normally
like
people
Planas
take it on the first lap when they get it there. No point in staying out.
Yeah.
Unless if you can slow down someone, your teammate will be fighting later. Than just getting it out of the way, don't think about it anymore and continue racing.
Well,
Yeah, my guess is he lost a game of tic-tac-toe with track limits there, because I don't believe he's pitted as of yet.
No, that would be weird in the top 10 for him.
definitely looks like Mitchell's making up some places purely through the pit lane. Some nice, actually clean air. He's definitely pitted at the right time. Let's see if the undercut works. Absolutely rapid.
Well, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. Stop go 30. So that is a speeding into the pit lane, I believe. That's automatic.
A lot further on the track than Regan Mitchell. So that means that Mitchell might have taken tires.
Oh, and Mead's dropped down a lot of places actually.
Mead has been in the pits.
Yeah, so Mead's been in the pits, and we know Valenduc has been in the pits then. Hackler stayed out, so that's where Valenduc was prior to the pit stops. And we know James Mead was ahead of him as well, so James Mead has had some issues in the pit lane, clearly, to now be down in 14th behind a lot of cars that he had a significant gap to as well.
Here come the leaders into the pits. Cox and Philippi both pitting at the same time. Where is Mitchell going to come out relative to these two drivers? That is the question at hand. Has the undercut worked? Well, maybe not for Cox, that was a big gap to pull, but maybe can he come out cleanly ahead of Philippi with some gap? Here he comes around the last couple of corners. I believe that is I can't tell if that's Tor. Is that Bendor? Yeah, it's into Tor for the next corner. There's still quite some way. Where are they going to come out against the pit of that Porsche? Watch for Cox driving past. Cox's pit stop should be a similar time, and he came well before. There he is. So there's 10 seconds for Philippa moves potentially. As Mitchell coming down the home straight, is that Porsche going to get to move in time? It doesn't look like it. It's not going anywhere yet. It's off the jacks, out onto the straight, but I think Mitchell is clean through. There you go. You can see it in the picture-in-picture. Mitchell,
so much time made in the undercut.
So much time. That undercut worked beautifully.
He did have the position prior, but it was only by a couple seconds, and you can just see how much more he's gained from it.
I think going into the pit stop, it was less than 2 seconds between them.
Yeah, and look at the time he's gained on Cox up top there. That maybe is only a 4-second gap at maximum now. There he is. There's Cox, and there's just emerging now through St. Bernie. There is our man Mitchell. So there you go. It's a much smaller gap than it appeared previously. Yeah, 4.3 seconds. So Mitchell's got the bit between his teeth to still catch those 4.3 seconds and make the gaps to Cox to try and battle for the first on track. Not quite, there's still cars to pit as Sam's gone into the pits now. But the question is, how do the tyres last? We've heard from Oliver that they fall off quite sharply here. The track's very tough on tyres, especially if you end up running wide onto the painted strips. So we may see a resurgence from the Porsche by the end of the race. It all depends on how they treat their tyres.
Absolutely, and it doesn't look like Mitchell's treating them very well at all, because he's gaining on Cox, pushing every last second. We also see Spenkelink in the pits as well. I think Mitchell gained about 3 seconds on Philippi, and looking at the time sheet, about 3 or 4 seconds on Cox as well. So the timing on that pit stop was absolutely immaculate. But Spenkelink looks like he's already starting to make his way down the pit lane. This could be rather close on the exit.
I think Mitchell's got him still. Yeah, Mitchell's got him
very close.
As well.
But is Mitchell going to get held up by this traffic? Who is that in the Mercedes? It looks like it might be a back marker. They're a lap down. There you go, moved aside.
Beautifully done.
Brilliant place to do it. And Mitchell continues his charge. But Cox has dispatched a few people while we were talking as well, so made up some places. I don't know how much of that was in the pits and how much of that was on track. It's difficult to say, but our current leader on track is a silver BMW.
It's the Tic Tac who's gone into the for a drive-through already. He's getting a bit of airtime here and going in to be the last to pit. So every car clearly is doing the tyre change because they've all come in around a similar period. No one thinking of trying to fuel save, as we have a lot of side-by-side action going through there. The BMW the Bentley. I think it's a lap Bentley as well, getting very, very close with the Lamborghini ahead. Fortunately, no issues for either driver concerned. But there is a big, big battle going on between Vernier, Mead, and Visa just behind this currently for P6. I think there's a bit of a gap to 11.5 seconds to Philippi up in 5th right now.
This is for position. Both of these drivers have pitted, so this will be a brutal fight between the two. James Mead was in front of Vernier before the pit stops. Clearly Vernier's got the better of the strategy and James Mead has come out behind him. Not hanging around though.
Vernier jumped all of these guys because Vernier was at the back of this train. And Hackler also, after his pit from being in front of Vernier, I think he's come out the worst because of the undercut appearing to be quite powerful. So he's going to have a lot of overtaking to get back to where he was prior to those pits by the end of the race. Everyone who stayed out longer thinking of pushing harder in the second stint has a lot of overtaking to do.
Indeed they do, and I think Hackler is going to get real sick of looking at the back of a Honda by the end of this race. Stuck behind a Honda before and he's stuck behind a Honda now. So maybe we'll see some brave moves, who knows. We're just on board with Leach, who's trying to run away from Schroeder by the looks of things. Down into Sector 1. If you're going to run away in a Porsche, this is where you want to do it. Do the rapid technical Sector 1, and then hopefully that huge, gorgeous sounding engine from the Mercedes doesn't catch you. I did just see a glimpse of a yellow flag in Sector 1. Not sure if that was just an off track. Doesn't look like there's been any major incidents.
No, we've got a slow moving car. I think it was the 212 if we have... Do we have a 212?
We do have a 212. 212 is Bockland. It's the Audi.
Sorry. I think there was a bit of an incident with him further down as we get a second drive-through of the race. Well, technically third, but second drive-through from track limits for Suki Vervat. 36th position, not really what you want when you're still battling around and you've got many cars by you, because he's going to be dropping quite a ways down, I think, to the bottom of this AM group on your left, so he's going to have to work his way through a fair few cars. Still got 46 going. I'm not sure if the 46th car down the bottom there is actually still driving, being 3 laps down, but he is at least still on the server and registered as one. Now the gap up top with Medema yet to pit. We will just go from Nardcox, who is our provisional leader, as James Mead actually picks up a drive-through. Wow, that one's going to hurt.
That's definitely going to have a big impact.
So many cars nearby.
Yeah, he was in that big gaggle. They're still together. There was that second pack of pro drivers, and he was leading it at one point, and he's definitely not going to be leading it after a drive-through. So I wonder where he's picked that up. Looking at the front of the field again with Nathan Cox, he's slowly catching Medema, as you might expect, but he's actually dropping Mitchell at the same time. But I imagine James Mead not very happy in that cockpit right now with that drive-through to do.
No, he's been stuck behind cars, and he never quite had the pace to keep up with the top 4 from early on, and now with a drive-through to boot, how much time do you think we'll lose in a drive-through in the pits here? At least 30 seconds, right? Having to drive through.
30 seconds would be on a normal pit lane. I reckon this is closer to 45 seconds on this track, particularly, maybe even 50.
Really?
Yeah, it's a long pit lane. It's almost twice as long as some of the shorter pit lanes we'll see on the calendar.
Wow, that's probably going to drop him down to about 20th place then.
Not like he's holding back on track limits despite having the drive-through. That was either very close or well over. Difficult to tell from this angle, but not hanging about at all. And still pressuring Vernier despite the drive-through. We're going to be interested to see when he takes this. I imagine he knows he's got it. We're not going to see a DQ. That would be suboptimal. That would make an even worse race. But putting the pressure on Vernier, making sure he knows that he's there, at least for now. It's an awfully tight race, actually. Around the right-hander at the end. Are we going to see him drop into the pits? That's the question. No, he's staying out, putting more pressure on Vernier.
That I find is surprising, because surely if you feel like you're being held up by the car ahead, you take the penalty right away to maybe drop into a bit of clean air. There's no point being stuck driving behind someone else, not able to maximize your laps, and then having to take the drive-through, because if there's some cars further back that have got a little bit of fresh air and are currently lapping faster than you, you're going to drop further back from those guys the more you wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
So personally, not my strategy choice, but maybe he's got something in mind.
Oh, he's either got something genius in mind or he's just seeing a bit of red, because that was some aggressive driving over the curbs in Sector 3. James Mead, clearly not a slow driver, not hanging about at all, and there's contact! As soon as the camera flicks over, but it looks like Vivat has managed to catch that beautifully after that bonk.
Was that a double overtake, or was that one lapped car? And yeah, I think that was just him going through a lap car while also fighting for position with the boat, also known as the Bentley.
That boat is definitely looking very wide right now, as we've got more side-by-side action. I think this is Sector 3, but backing out rather early. That is wide, though. Maybe Geen saw that coming.
Denise not quite getting the position, and looking like she's now having to fight for the next spot as Valenduke's coming down around the outside. I think he's already got it, yeah. So Denise losing 2 spots there, going deep into that one corner. But
yeah, that hurts.
You can see just how much that 30-second stop go actually affected Valenduke. He was up in and around the top 10, currently sitting 31st even after that overtake there. So that's a long fight back to where he was sat before.
Yeah,
trying to put his nose up, and he's gone for it. I think that was probably allowed, but then he's been tapped on the rear. Is that by the leader?
I think that is Nathan Cox.
Yeah, it could be.
It is Cox. It is Cox in the 37 BMW coming round now.
Can I just
there might have been a bit of confusion.
Who's leading the race, having not pitted yet, maybe he's going for the fuel-safe strategy.
Is 16 seconds out front? Perhaps he is. Do you reckon that Cox can catch 16 seconds on fresher tyres in 26 minutes to Medema, a silver driver who is well out front?
Absolutely.
With all that with all that battling that was going on, I think so I'm not sure if the Aston thought that Valenduke was the leader and then let him through and then got confused, which is why Nard stuck his nose in and gave him a little bop. But it looked like it gave Denise the chance to go back behind, because they're now side by side. If you look just in the rear, actually Denise gets the position back, so one lap later and Denise does make the move on the Aston.
It's worth noting that Aston, that Gulf liveried Aston, is actually our current leader of the AM class as well. So while not fighting within class on track, easily the quickest AM driver, but maybe that lack of experience came into play when they saw a blue flag and just jumped out the way.
Could be, or he's maybe just not trying to fight people in from different classes and focusing on the class win.
It would all depend on how far ahead he is of his fellow AM drivers, I'd say. We're not really too sure on the matter, as we've got clearly the teammate of the other Bentley, these guys running the same livery, now got the Porsche of Leach all over the back of him. The contrast in these cars, quite significant to the eye. The Porsche, very nimble, goes for the switch back up the inside. Lovely move. Bentley can do nothing about it. Cleanly dispatced.
Not an easy move to make, but beautifully done. Yeah, coming out the right-hander, that's a very squirrely Lamborghini in the background. Are we going to see a move for the silver position? That Honda has so much grip, and I think that Honda just went down the inside of our current on-track leader, that tic-tac BMW, or was that his teammate?
No, I think we've got teammates, actually. It's caught me off guard until just now as well, because Planas was the one to pick up the drive-through earlier on, so his teammate's currently leading, I think, going for the fuel save strat, or at least the splash and dash right at the end. Whether or not it's off for Medema is another question, but yeah, it seems his teammate Planas here, who has just been overtaking, was the one with the drive-through penalty as well. So, I mean, if we haven't mentioned Medema until he took the lead of the race, he's been having a clean one, and that's the best thing to happen to you. clean race, get out in front, and hope for the best from there.
Medema absolutely running that Lando Norris-esque strategy of just being invisible for most of the race and then just appearing at the top of the chart. And you're wondering where they came from. But I would definitely enjoy bragging rights going from your teammate being in 21st position while you hang out on pole on track. Definitely some bragging rights in Discord after that one.
Look at the colours here. We've got the inverse going past one another. Schroeder overtaking Locke, who we saw just get overtaken, a lap prior. Locke slowly moving down the field. I don't think it'd be too much longer until Abranosa catches up as well. He's a very fast, experienced driver too. And Planas, likewise, we saw him a lap ago, overtaken by Shellekens, then overtaken by Dave Jr. Now Patrick Tractor going around the outside of him. Unfortunately for these guys, clearly I think elected to do the long distance running over the short two stints with the one stop at the halfway point, now slowly getting eaten up by the faster drivers as they come back through the pack.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the strategy. I wonder if they're going for a very late pit stop. Is that even a viable option at this track?
I wouldn't recommend it, no. I would have preferred to, even if you're only taking fuel, then I would still have pitted at roughly the halfway point. But it could be something to do with track position, and they think they'll come out in a better gap by waiting as long as possible. So it could be a viable option, but I wouldn't recommend it personally.
You definitely would want to stay out a bit longer if you're seeing that number 1 next to your name, just in the bottom left. And we're seeing the... is that one of the beer cars from earlier trying to make a move? Is this a battle between fellow Lexus drivers as well? True cultured drivers.
A little deep into the start of the corner there. So Wouter here, all right on the back of Denise, looking to try and catch up to the class leader, the 711 of Geens in the Aston Martin, which we did see have that slight love tap from our race leader, bar one, in Nardcots. It's still, I say that as unofficially he is the race leader based on pits, but you don't have to pit, so I probably just need to actually speak correctly here, and with him being currently in P2, because it's not mandatory to stop. It's just whether or not you decide to, and with it being an hour 20, most cars, I think the maximum you can run with full fuel is about an hour 10, even if you do give it a little bit of leeway on throttle in certain spots. So yeah, here we are on board with Nardcots, 10.8 seconds to Medema in first, 20 minutes left of the race, so that gap has come down by about 6 seconds now in the last 6 minutes or so. So is that a second a lap on average, are we saying?
It's not far off a second a lap. I think I asked the question, do you think Cox can catch, about 8 minutes ago, and he's caught 6 seconds, which is pretty quick. I don't think Cox is going to be hanging back for just about anybody. I'm almost certain that he took tyres, and he is flying.
Yeah, speaking of flying, one Lexus overtaking the other. Wouter moves up into 32nd, now only 3 spots off of the AM leader, but we have a big issue here for Mick Shellekens. He is currently parked up against the tyre barrier. I don't know what the issue could be. I believe, well, from what I used to recall back in the day, he was a controller player, so there looks to be a full disconnect from whatever device he uses to drive right now, because there is no movement whatsoever coming from the 39.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. No pedal, no wheel, and no RTG as far as I can see, so there's clearly been a technical error. You really do hate to see that. That is not the way you want your race to end, and I believe having a very successful race up until that point as well. One of the Hondas that was doing quite well in class. So, real shame to see it in the barrier. It was such a lovely livery as well.
Now on board with Valenduke on the back of Sander Vale. 28th and 27th, still trying to make his way back up through the field following his stop-go 30 for the speeding in the pit lane. Looks to be just a matter of straight until he dispatches this Ferrari here. There we go, side by side now, got the inside. Not much of a defense put up by Sandoval, who is in the opposite class, as we quickly switch to John Haig here, who looks like he may have had a spin going through the final corner too. Not a great time, because when you're meant to be putting your foot down from that final corner straight down to the other side, he spent a little bit of that facing the wrong direction.
Just looking over at the AM class quickly, we saw Wouter dispatch Denise earlier and has started to make some real inroads into Geens at the leader of the AM class. Looks like there's a fight going on at the front. This is Hackler yet again looking at the backside of Wise, who goes really wide.
We've got something happening.
I think, is that Denise's Lexus on the outside there? As it looks
or
like
it could
maybe
be Evan.
Hackler has finally made the move, is finally not looking at the back of a Honda, and now wants to run away as quickly as possible. I would be very relieved to see the back of them.
Yeah, I think that may be partially thanks to whatever incident occurred between the Lexus and the Audi, because they were two slow-moving cars at the fastest corner on the track, and unfortunately for Visa, I believe he had to take evasive action, which is what allowed Hackler just to slip right on through. So yeah, something occurring between Denise and possibly the Audi of Van der Linden.
It looks like
it does indeed appear to be that way. So yeah, those two there just behind this group, who now have a Lamborghini, I think, ready to lap them and probably go chasing after the other two cars just ahead.
Yeah, as you said earlier, Denise casting the GT4s next week, I believe. So hopefully she has more fun casting the GT4s, and it looks like she's having this race, because it was a fantastic battle with a fellow Lexus driver, but that doesn't look like it's boded well for her. She's dropped 10-15 seconds back just in that one lap alone due to that incident. So opening up a space, but we're seeing even more side-by-side action. Some lights flashing, but I think only one of those lights was working there. So clearly been in a bit of an incident here. And more battles on track.
I thought we were about to go 3 wide for a second there. It looked like the Aston Martin of Vervat was going to slip out, because he had a great run on the 2 ahead. Speaking of great runs, look at this 44 Mercedes all over the back of Bocklund. Yeah, I think you're right. Bocklund does seem to have a little bit of damage. Still flashing the lights. Definitely not happy about something.
Interesting that he's flashing his lights, because I believe he's a back marker as well. I don't see anyone on the timing sheets in a Mercedes anywhere near him, unless Parker's made a miracle run from behind him.
I think maybe a few laps down following his massive incident, so he's probably unlapping himself. Did you see that, Aston, just going for a dive there into the corner? Did they make it through and fight? Oh no, the Merc is going again!
Parker, he's clearly booted up ACC, but giving it the name Tokyo Drift, because I have seen this Merc sideways more than any other car this race. The style points are huge, the speed not so much, but catch after catch, credit where credit is due, that car is still running. The tyres maybe not so great right now, but it's still on track and it's still going in a straight line.
It does look stylish, but it's definitely not the fastest way through that corner, and it is 100% not the best way to keep your tyres in check, as he almost goes right into the back of the Bentley, then has to check up, and now got a couple faster cars approaching behind as well. It's not really his day, but I mean, if he does come and watch this back, he's got 3 brilliant moments of him going sideways through the fastest corner on track, and if they're not highlight reel moments just for the fun of it, what is?
There are definitely 3 slides that you compress, upload to Twitter, and just say you were styling on people. You finish first if anybody on social media asks. You were just styling.
Yeah, remove the board on the side showing positions.
Get rid of that, crop it down, put some black and white and some rubbish dubstep music over it, and there you go, YouTube montage, already just in one race. Fantastic looking car to slide as well.
Yeah, it definitely catches the eye, that green. Definitely catches the eye.
We said in qualifying that you wouldn't miss it coming up behind you, and so we were right. We haven't missed it all race.
Speaking of things you wouldn't miss, those purple wheels, violet on Wouter's car, about to be taken possibly by Nelson Abranoza here. Has he got enough on the outside to be able to swoop through past? He has indeed. Two cars are of different classes, so maybe... Oh my god, he's gone again! I think he's caught it again, he has, but... Boy, oh boy. It's not what you want to be seeing.
Be cooked. That man is cooking a roast dinner on his rims.
If he has... it's 12 minutes to go. Could we see a burst tyre?
Yes, we could.
Or
It
a puncture at
happened
the
to me a
least.
couple of times having tires actually blow up on the car, so it is possible, and it will definitely be possible on this track.
He's going the right way for it. That's for sure.
It is the classic, you overheat the tyres by sliding and then you drive hard to make up for the slide, and your tyres have got less grip because you slid. So you slide again and again, and the tyres are just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Now reaching the important part of the race. There's 12 minutes and 10 seconds to go. This is where those that pitted a little bit later than the main group at the 40-minute mark will hope to see their tyres now come to life in comparison, especially if they were keeping them a little bit more under, like just being a little bit nicer to them essentially. If they have done that, then the speed difference might just go in their favour, and we could see a few more battles as we've got a static Honda on the edge of the pits there. I'm not too sure what's gone on, but it looks like one of the
Pit, Wouter Dietmar have been into the pits in the 15 car.
It didn't look like it was moving, but maybe that was just the angle we were looking at, because I didn't spot a yellow flag. So maybe just, yeah, very late pit. Speaking of difference in tyres and tyre life, it looks like it's just a matter of a couple corners now before Nard Cox catches up to Medema here. 1.6 seconds. There he is. He's within striking distance on the straight.
Yeah.
How quickly do we think he'll dispatch him? Personally, I think as soon as he gets behind him, he's probably got him. But it probably depends on where.
It's a couple of laps. It's a couple of laps at most, but it's also interesting to see the teammate catching up to Mitchell behind, not at the same rate, but at pretty much the same distance. There's going to be two brilliant fights for the podium going on at the same time. The question is Medema going to get out the way? Going to give it up? Or is he going to fight? And are we going to get all four of these front-running drivers right on top of each other right at the end of the race?
The smart thing for him would be to get out of the way, but I truly hope he will fight it and bunch it all up just to get some excitement in for the win.
Yeah, because he's got such a gap to his fellow silver drivers in Morgan down in P11. I think probably about 35-40 seconds back. So Medema with his overcut working brilliantly, and
He's pitting.
he's actually just gone into the pits.
Clearly,
Wow.
wasn't enough fuel to last the whole race, which is really unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen a fight, and I think he's probably going to come out behind Morgan, who's been the cork in the bottle, the gatekeeper for the pros all race, leading the silver for most of it, outside of Medema's incredibly long stint. 70 minutes on one set of tyres is impressive, to say the least, around here.
Oh, it's just your typical endurance stretch, isn't it? As we see a stop go 30 for Kleiner down the bottom here as well, and well, wait, look at the car we're on, look at the corner it is. Are we going to get an action? Yes, we are. Is he going to catch it? Yes, he is. Wait, he's got it. There we go.
At this point, it is just a maths formula. Do you see a green Mercedes? Are you at signs? Yes, it's going sideways. It's going to happen every time, and it's an art form to watch. It really is.
I was a bit worried he wasn't going to catch that one. It looked like the snap might have been a little bit too harsh, but no, he's still got it. He's still got it. What a thing to see.
If he wasn't planning on watching this replay back, he absolutely needs to now. Because while that might be very frustrating to be in the cockpit, when you get to look back at that, that looks cool, man. That looks really cool.
It looks so much better when he's catching it as well. If he just lost it, it would be quite disappointing. But the fact that he's caught it almost every time, just credit to him, to be fair. Because, yeah, the setup's clearly not doing him any good. And unfortunately, that it can just be the way that it goes, especially with a Mercedes where it's so hard to balance the diffuser because it loves to snap when that's not settling correctly on fast corners. Unfortunately for him, it's not settling, but boy oh boy has he won the race in terms of style points today.
Absolutely. If there was a medal given for style, clear gold, and I don't think anyone's even close. Although I would have to give something to the Gulf livery Aston because I have a bit of a weak spot for it, which I'm sure is driving around somewhere on the field. But the Tic Tac BMW, also a good contender for best livery. Not sure. Vervat just coming around Sector 3 now, also a very cool livery. Lots of brilliant ones on track. And who are we on board with here? We're on board with Parker. Round the right-hander. Is the formula true? Let's find out. And it's sideways. Is he going to catch it?
Is he going to catch it? Oh, he's got a bit too far.
Oh, no, he's turned it. No. Okay, well, it's getting back on the track.
That's not quite. I mean, he didn't face the wrong direction. He faced 90 degrees one way and then the other. But technically, he was still heading in the right direction.
I think what we can firmly say is that was a B- for me for the style points. The previous ones were firm A's, bit of a B-. I'm going to have to ask you to, don't take the corner properly. At this point, there's no point. Make the slide look cool on next lap. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, well, speaking of nice liveries, Patrick Tractor here all over the back of Dave Jr. Lovely looking Lexus. And quite a similar looking Lamborghini actually in terms of colours, but a lot more style on that Lexus. 6 minutes to go. This is a big battle for P20. Won't do anything in terms of class position, but overall I think it's always nice to just be that little bit further up on the standings. So they definitely will be giving it their all to get or defend this position.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke before when Morgan was being the cork in the bottle of talking about class positions and in keeping those pros behind him. It doesn't matter for his standings, but it does feel really good to be in front of people on track. And there's that little instinct as a racing driver where you have to keep pushing all the time. It looks like Spenkelink is starting to get onto the back of Mitchell now. 1.6 seconds the gap with 5 seconds to go. You can just see them coming around the corner there. There's definitely going to be back markers coming into play, but are they going to reach them at a nice time where they can get past? Or are they going to get stuck in the back end of Sector 3 where it's a bit more difficult to go past those slower back markers?
Medema after his pit stop as well, still holding on to the win in silver class as it stands. Got a good gap still to Morgan behind, so even after running a very, very long first stint, going for a much shorter second pop into the pits just for that bit of fuel, the only driver to do so, actually, I must add, it looks like he has made that work beautifully. And bar any trouble in the last 5 minutes of this race, looks set to take a maiden win in the silver class.
Absolutely. First win, first race, it's got to feel really good. And with a strategy that, as far as I can tell, or at least as far as we've seen, no one else on track has done, and it's worked beautifully. Morgan's had the pace all race in the silver class. Medema came out of nowhere and has now got a comfortable gap. I imagine those tyres are not very fun to drive on, but as long as he gets it to the end of the race, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, just looking at the last 4 minutes now. Gaps on track. It looks bar Sem and possibly Mitchell having a battle. The gap's currently staying around 2 seconds. I think, well, Philippi's got a great gap to Hackler behind, but unfortunately nowhere near Spenkelink ahead. So they might well be quite set. But here we've got Valenduc still making his way back up through the field. Almost got right into the back of the Ferrari of Dennis Werkman. Side by side now, does manage to get the move stuck into the chicane. A valiant drive back from Valenduc now into P24. And I think he may have... No, not quite. Not the car that he was at right ahead. It's got a little bit still to work up to Lenson. And a little bit there with the back marker as well, almost getting right into the back of him.
Yeah, that back marker is going to need a change of pants after that one. That was very close. And not in a fun place for either of the drivers to meet that at all. I just love these shots around that right-hander. The cars in ACC look so beautiful. And that camera shot, just awesome.
But the fully loaded camber on the outside as well, and the roll of the cars, it has everything, doesn't it?
Absolutely. All I'm missing, as I'm not listening to the stream itself, is just the roar of this Lexus, because I love the way this car sounds. And the Lamborghini in front of it, I always say sounds like a shotgun when it downshifts. So these two awesome sounding cars, that is all I'm missing from. But you watching the broadcast can probably hear it beautifully. And that shot is just awesome as this fight. I think this fight has been going on for a while between Tractor and Junior. And they're definitely, as we're coming towards the last couple of laps, this is probably the second to last lap, they're definitely going to start pushing. Again, this is not for positioning class, but is it going to stop them going for a move? Very questionable. It's definitely a lot of pace in both of these drivers. Where are they going to catch each other? That Lexus is pretty quick in a straight line. Not sure about the Lamborghini. Princey is the expert here. I'm sure you can tell us just how quick that thing is in a straight line, but the Lexus, as we all know, is an absolute rocket.
I'd say the Lamborghini's got decent speed. I think it's got good acceleration. The top speed can be slightly lacking. All depends on how you set up the car. It's very much affected by the aerodynamics of the setup. So you can make a big difference dropping that rear wing and having the car set up a little bit better for the straight line, which I think is probably the issue the Patrick Tractor's been having, because on paper I think the Lexus does have about 10 kilometers if they had identical setups for, say, wing and stuff, but it looks like the Lexus has probably gone a lot higher on the downforce to help it through sectors 1 and 3, whereas maybe that's where the Lamborghini's taken a little bit less just to help it in that straight line.
Yeah, there's definitely some liberty there that you can take. The Lamborghini is quite nice around the corners the last time I drove it, but the Lexus does love to get that tail out. A lot of wing does help keep it down. You can see it there, slipping and sliding about all over the place. Trying to catch up to Junior. Back markers on the outside. I think that is our favourite Tokyo drifter, just on the outside there. It just get between the two cars, but finally lets the Lexus through. And we're going to be coming up to the final lap. In AMS, I think it's Vrint leading the pack. At the front, Cox running away, trying to get the distance. And in the Silver Class, Medina, with the beautiful strategy, has still got a very, very long way to Morgan.
Yeah, so now just starting the last lap of the race, 10 seconds to go, making it just one more lap. Maybe not quite what some guys had in mind behind. If anyone's struggling, didn't quite fuel their car up enough. Now seeing that as they cross the line on 0 seconds, they've still got to do another lap, might hurt them slightly. So I'd say keep an eye out on the track map just in case you see any cars going rather slow, just to make sure they have enough fuel to cross the line, because if you run out of fuel in this game, that is it. You are done. You are rolling to a stop. So hopefully everyone's got that little bit extra left in the tank just in case something like this happened. So we'll keep an eye on where Nard is going around the track, but for now a few battles left to be decided. Abranhosa here all over the back of Nuris. Tim defending well for someone of a different class, but very well positioned currently in P3 of the silver class. Couple back markers getting out the way as well. Just one more lap now and he can hold on to a P14 and then brag about holding off one of the better Aston Martin drivers for P14.
Yeah, that is going to be a close fight. You can see the flashing of the lights, trying to get the back markers to seed. I think this fight at the front might have fizzled out, unfortunately. Spenkelink seems to have lost some distance to Mitchell. Don't know if Mitchell's just ran away, Spenkelink's had an issue, or maybe the tyres are just starting to go off. But I was hoping for a much closer fight at the end. Maybe if we'd seen Medema try and brave it out, we'd have seen these two come together. But it looks like they're just going to be coming around the last couple of corners. This is Nathan Cox over the line for the win. Beautifully driven. I think, other than pit stops, didn't not lead a single lap. Absolute dominance from Nathan Cox. The BMW set up perfectly for this track, clearly. Spenkelink comes over his teammate with the fastest lap. Philippa in fourth, not able to hang on to the front three, but still brilliantly driven. An awesome fight for us to watch throughout. Here comes Hackler, who's finally coming over the line, bar any major disaster, not looking at the back of Wise's Honda. So that's great. And then hopefully we'll see the leader of the silver class not far behind Medema with the brilliant strategy caller. Hackler over the line. There you go. Finally got rid of the Honda. Brings it home fifth. Beautifully driven.
Lisa nicely finishing out the top six, and then soon after, probably my driver of the day, to be honest, Medema here came out of nowhere, just staying out, going for the long first stint. 7th place, winner of silver class. A brilliant drive from him. Van der Kraan and Dimitri there coming over across the line, and then Veneer rounding out that top 10. Brilliant drive from all these guys at the top half of the field. Morgan, again, another good drive. Looked like he probably had the race in the bag for the silver class until Medema showed up. Muris as well, rounding out that top three for the silvers. Locke now across the line as well. Wilkes here, maybe having to do a little bit of last-second defending over Ike. Looks like the gap's just about large enough to not have too many issues. And then it'll just be a few more stragglers after that across the line.
Close gap at the back is Tractor and Neutlings with just a 1/10 of a second in it over the last marker. Are they still close? It looks like they were over the line. Wasn't much in it at all. They may have been side by side towards the line, but Neutlings got it in the end. They are 1.7 seconds. Something must have happened.
Congratulations to Wouter Vrins as well for the AM class win. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the opening race here at Simsport Racing International of Paul Ricard, your race 1 of season 3 of the GT3 League here. As always, if you want to get involved, please head down just below the YouTube video where you can get all the links to come join us and get involved in any way you want, whether it be racing, joining us here in the booth, or any other things. But what a race to start, eh? What a brilliant race to start.
Absolutely. I don't think there was a second where I was bored for that race. Fantastic battles all over the track. Some great strategy calls, some awesome side-by-sides, and of course, our favourite Tokyo drifter.
Shout out to Steve Parker, the performing act of the day. Driver of the day goes to Medema for places gained and strategy, but I think Parker gave us the glitz and the glam of what it looks like to be an ACC drifter.
Absolutely. Just turn the traction control off and send it. But yeah, no, I've got to say that this was a phenomenal drive from Medema. I would say he was my driver of the day as well. The strategy call was clearly on point. All of us were saying, pit at the halfway line, that's when you want to do it. Get some new tyres. Medema stuck it out. Managed those tyres beautifully well, and here on the highlights we get to see the beautiful slide. I'm so glad this made it
slow
to the
motion
highlights
as well. Check this out. Look at the angle. That's at least 70, maybe even 80 degrees to the track direction. It's almost verging on 90 here.
He's even flashing as he's sliding.
That.
Even showing off for the camera.
I think that's probably the glint of the sun's rays, but it does add a little bit more, doesn't it?
I was praying that it was the flash. Just add a couple more style points as just slamming the wheel in the other direction. Just drift into drift. It's not really how you're supposed to take that corner. I wouldn't say it's the optimal line, but the style points Beautiful.
Shows off the car in full as well. Well, it looks like we've got some drivers possibly awaiting a little cheeky interview or two. Should we bring our race winner through?
Yeah, I believe so. That's probably the best place to start, at the front.
All right, then, let's get him. Good evening, Nard Cox. Congratulations on a very strong victory here today at Paul Ricard. What do you want to say about it?
Well, thank you very much, obviously. That was a pretty straightforward victory. So just the start was a bit exciting because, the Porsche has a good getaway. So it was important to stay in front. And then fortunately, those guys behind started battling, which allowed me to pull a gap. And then after that, I was basically just managing the gap a bit. So not a very exciting race for me, but pace was good, result was there, car was good. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, we saw you and Sem doing a bit of strategy on qualifying there, trying to give each other the draft. I mean, it is very strong on this track, so I think it's the correct play to do.
Yeah, it was unintended, because Sam started his lap and then he got a warning when he passed the start-finish that he was too quick, so he invalidated that lap basically, and I said, okay, then drop back a few seconds and then just give me a tow. So yeah, that definitely helped. But the lap after that, I did almost the same time without the tow, because I lost a lot of time in sector 1, like 2:10. So and afterwards, I gave him a tow, so returned the favor. I was, like I said, was not planned on for it. Just happened.
All right, okay. It's good how those things work out.
Yeah, definitely.
So, did you feel like there was a moment where you were wondering why you weren't in first place with Madima's decision to go long on the pits?
I was hoping that he was gonna go all the way, so basically don't pit at all and then just fuel save. But yeah, then like 10 minutes before the end, I saw him going into the pits. So I was wondering, or he's going long and he's going for a splash and dash, or he's going really long and then trying to fuel save. So he went for the splash and dash. I don't think that the fuel save strategy would have worked. I tested it briefly last night and you just have to save too much fuel, the pace. We just suffered too much from that. So, but it would have been cool if he would have pulled that off. And he had a nice result in the end. He finished 7th, I saw, so congrats to him.
He finished 7th and he led his class and jumped the gun. But we were hoping for the same thing in the commentary box. We were hoping he might hold you up a bit. Put you back in the arms of Reagan and Sem. But it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
No. So I had a lot of overpace. So I think, like, if he would have battled me, I would have gotten past pretty easily. But no. Yeah, that would have been nice for the viewers, I can imagine.
We had a lot going on. You guys probably need to look back for Steve Parker drifting it through. You may have caught him once or twice going around seniors yourself, but yeah, his Merc sadly couldn't keep itself facing the right direction through that corner, so he was always drifting it.
Need to watch that back.
Definitely worth a watch. And the fight, especially in the first half of the race in the top 4, was phenomenal the whole time. Lots of very, very close racing, which looked awesome on the broadcast. I don't know how it felt to be in the middle of it though.
Yeah, Regan, congratulations on P2. You were one of the drivers that exactly caught up in that battle. That first half prior to the pits was very interesting indeed. How was it to be part of that, driving back and forth with the other 2 drivers around you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really good. I was having a panic attack at least once a lap, all race, due to, I think it's called Cygnus Corner. It's really sketchy there, so, and unfortunately that, due to my top speed, that's where I overtake more. So you might have seen 1 or 2 sideways moments around there, including letting Sem back past, and so we had to have that next battle where we were side by side the whole sector 3. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. Did see it get a bit wiggly through that corner, but the side by side through all of sector 3 to give each other racing room throughout was awesome to watch, but I imagine a little bit scary.
I was okay because I think obviously raced against Sem before, so we trust each other enough to be able to do that, luckily. But yeah, really was fun.
Yeah, and Sam, you couldn't quite keep that second place to make it a 1-2 for your team, but rounding out the podium, with obviously having those battles between Regan here and Luca Filippi as well. Where it was interesting to me watching it, because it looked like you were strongest in Sector 3, whereas the Porsche maybe had the edge in Sector 1, at least at the start of the race. I'm just wondering what your opinions were on that.
Yeah, I think obviously the Porsche has great traction out of the slow corners and it can just swoop itself around onto the straights. And I think for Paul Ricard, it's one of the few tracks where it actually has top speed too. So yeah, Luca got along well, but I think in the end his tires were wearing a little bit faster than ours. So yeah, then it was just in the end in the second stint fighting with Regan, or trying to catch up at least. But the gap was a little bit too big, and in the end I had to back off a little bit and be a bit more cautious due to track limits, because I was almost into the pits.
Oh, you 3 out of 4, was it?
Yeah.
I think during that chase you put the fastest lap of the race in though, so you can confidently say you gave it everything while you were going.
Yeah, so the gap was pretty quick, but I know Regan's like a really fast guy and really constant, so I was hoping he would have a little bit more of those slides into Signa, but unfortunately he kept it together in the second stint. There was a lot of back markers, of course, that we had to navigate through, which one time went one way, the other time went the other way. So yeah, I think in the end just came short due to the first stint. Actually, like right before the pit stop, I was battling with Luca a bit too much. That gave Regan that little bit of breathing space that he needed. And yeah, shout out to him for a great job.
Yeah, just going back to that battle at the start in that first stint before the pits. You obviously, I think you spent most time in the middle of that, so you always had the Porsche in front of you and then Regan's Honda right behind. That must have been tense on going along the Mistral Straight, especially by the end when the Honda's got so much overspeed naturally that in the tow as well, just pushing up right behind you. You guys got very, very close for that fast for seniors.
Yeah, definitely. I saw so much of Porsche side and back and front and Honda. I know all the spots now. But yeah, I think the problem was just the top speed. I wasn't running that much wing, but the Honda and the Porsche were just insane. Also, coming out of the tow, they would just eat me alive. When I was like, okay, push in the first sector, push. And then I look at the delta, shit, 5/10, he's gonna have me again. That was kind of, yeah, not so nice. But then again, it provided some good viewing, I guess, for you guys going side by side into that last sector.
Absolutely. Great to watch from the box. And I'm sure everyone watching on the broadcast had fun with it too. Those battles were awesome, just awesome.
Yeah, so for us it was fun at least. Well, I can speak for myself, it was great fun. And obviously to have Nard out in front, winning it from start to finish, great job to him too. Yeah, actually impeccable performance, and would have been nice to make it a 1-2 for the team, but we'll just have to wait till next round, hopefully.
Yeah, it gives you room for improvement for the next one, but you can't really go much further, can you?
No, I hope we don't wrap around and like pin it, and then we'd be first 2 if you look at the bottom.
Well, congratulations, you 3, on a brilliant race and a great first race of the season. Hopefully more to come. I expect we'll probably see you guys on the podium a few more times. Definitely not trying to cast aspersion here, so don't worry about that. But yeah, congratulations again on the podium, and good luck in the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I see Yitz is also in the waiting box, by the way.
Yeah, he's coming through now.
Perfect.
Well, Yeats Medema, what can we say? What a strategy call, eh?
Well, I can say a lot of beautiful words like I thought of this and this was my plan, but it wasn't. It was actually pure luck.
We were calling it as a genius strategy call. You did what no one else dared to do and rewarded for it. You're supposed to play it cool.
Yeah, I played it cool while driving. I noticed when I was in the pack at the start that I had like a wall in the pace. You know, I could not go much faster than 56.0 or 55.9. So I thought, okay, let's just set the pace at 56.5, 56.4, and I kind of did that all race. So yeah, there you go.
You were the only driver on track to take a leading lap off Nard Cox. So that is quite the impressive feat.
Damn
And
you,
yeah, it was an impressive watch. I don't know how the tyres hung on for you. I can't imagine you were driving on much rubber by the end.
Well, I checked the tires in the strategy, and the left front I still had 1.7. So I could have pushed a little bit more, but no, it felt okay.
We were kind of hoping. Go on, sorry, Princey.
Oh, I was just going to say, you say you stumbled across this strategy. So did you just fuel to then see what happened as the race went on, basically? Because most of the drivers obviously took about probably 70 litres or something, went about 40 minutes, pitted and did the same again. So it's an interesting call to basically bog yourself down with more fuel early on just to see how the race is going for you.
Yeah, I always tend to do that in races that I'm not so sure about myself. So I have plan B, or I can just pit early and start from the back and build my race from there. But yeah, right now I could just keep up with the guys, and I was kind of in an open gap, so I could just make my laps. So I thought, let's just keep going and see where Nard will catch me.
No, it worked out perfectly. I mean, in the end, he did grab you, and I'm guessing you had to pit basically for fuel at the very least.
Yeah, I had 0.5 litres left.
Oh wow, yeah, you cut that fine.
Yep.
We were kind of hoping that you'd fuel saved enough to hold people up, and we could have had a bit of an adventure at the end, but wasn't to be, I guess. Fuel tank didn't allow it.
No, it wasn't to be. No, then it would be even slower. So yeah, this is the maximum.
Out of interest, where did you qualify? Because we were trying to figure it out, because you seemed to just appear at the top of the charts after the pits, and we were like, how did you get there then?
I think I qualified 11, 12, 13, something like that.
Oh, okay, so you were quite high up. We must have just not noticed you to begin with.
Yeah, I only did 2 laps. The first lap felt okay, then I did the second lap to just check the pressures and stuff like that, and then I went to the pits.
Right. Well, I unofficially named you driver of the day. I think the consensus was agreed.
Yeah,
thank you.
In the box, definitely.
Oh, thank you guys, thank you.
So yeah, brilliant strategy call. Worked a treat, and it left you way ahead of your fellow competitors in silver class. So a very nice victory to start the season off for you.
Oh yes, for sure. And I would like to congrats Nard. He was on fire today. And and I think Sam and who was second again?
Regan Mitchell here.
Yeah, Regan. Well. I think they had a really nice fight. I was looking at it in Delta, so yeah, it looked okay. Yeah.
It was a fantastic fight, and I would advise going and watching on the VOD because it was great fun. And I think from the second half of the VOD, you get plenty of screen time of us going, where did this guy come from and how is he first? So
there was a slight bit of confusion with your teammate as well, who picked up a drive-through, because you're both running the Tic Tac livery, aren't you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah, he only has different color mirrors, so that's the way to distinguish.
Oh right, okay. I didn't notice that. It clearly didn't look hard enough. Yeah. We were actually joking, like, everyone who I'm passing, they think I must be fast because I'm still in the lead, but nope. I'm just lucky.
Sometimes luck's all you need, but yeah, absolutely. You drove a fantastic race. The consistent pace was needed to hold that position. You held Cox off for quite a while despite him pitting. So absolutely not just luck. I mean, you kind of put your cards on the table and they worked out for you, but you still drove a fantastic race.
Thank you very much.
Now to repeat it all at the next one at Brands Hatch in 2 weeks' time, eh?
Well, I have something else to do back then, so I have to skip that one.
Ah, that's unfortunate. But you've set a perfect mark for yourself going forwards. So everyone will be respecting you on the track, I'm sure, for next time out. And just for everyone at home, here is actually the list of tracks for this season. So as you've just watched this evening, Paul Ricard was our first one of the night. Next up then, on February the 14th, Valentine's Day, for those of you who love your cars like we all do, Brands Hatch is coming to you here from Simsport Racing International. Then in a couple of weeks' time after that, Nurburgring followed by Laguna Seca, Monza, Donnington Park, and then rounding out the season at Zandvoort on the 25th of April. Doesn't that just sound brilliant? And if that's not enough for you, next week we've also got the GT4 season series starting at the Hungaroring. And these run alternately to your GT3 leagues, so they will be every other week. Every week, if you're just an avid viewer, you'll always be able to tune into something on the Tuesdays, and they are going to be racing, as I've just said, Hungary for the opening race, then Alton Park, Barcelona, Snetterton, Imola, Laguna Seca, and Indianapolis. And if that's not enough for you, I don't know if we've got something for this, but on Thursday we also have, I think, the first of the Porsche Cup races. I don't know if that's a new series coming here to Simsport Racing, but it's new as far as I'm aware, who has been with this community now for a year. And I will once again be back on the comms for that. So if you've not had enough of me somehow, and you've not had enough of the racing, make sure you tune in on the Thursday as well. Same time as today, and you can get far more action, brilliant action, as to what you've witnessed here tonight. So is there anything left to say from anyone before we end tonight's stream? Any last words, Dan?
I was going to say nothing to add from me. It was a fantastic race from all involved. There was a minimal amount of death from the first season, and it's probably the best Paul Ricard race that I'm going to watch this year with F1 not coming here. So thank you to all the drivers, thanks to the production crew, and thanks for joining me in the box.
And of course, thank you to Tom Vandermeer, who has brought us all the perfect shots of the cars on the track tonight. Obviously can't do it without him, and everyone else here working at Simsport Racing International, so thank you all. And of course, thank you to the people who tuned in tonight to watch it. And please come back.
Please.
But yeah, for that, I think from everyone here, it is good night, and see you next time around. Goodbye.